Hi there and welcome to this video. Today I'm going to compare two cases that both touch on the topic of online self-representation. I'm going to focus on two Instagram users that have brought a bit of attention to themselves due to two different events. So first we're going to talk about the Australian model Essena O'Neill, a former influencer on Instagram. She shared a lot of selfies and pictures of herself that depicted her body and the clothes she was wearing. Thanks to her social media presence and self-representation, she received several modeling offers in Australia and in the US at the age of 18. I heard of O'Neill in 2015 because she made national and international headlines for publishing a YouTube video in which she reveals the backstage of her horrific experience with social media and fame.
I had the dream life. I had 500,000 people interested in me on social media, on Instagram, sorry. I had over 100,000 views on most of my videos on YouTube. To a lot of people, I made it. I had messages and messages of big companies, brands, sponsorships on my hands, and I was in LA and I was at a pinnacle of success in what I thought it was. I was surrounded by all this wealth and all this fame and all this power. And I had never been more miserable. I'm the girl that had it all, and I want to tell you that having it all on social media means absolutely nothing to your real life. Everything I was doing was edited and contrived and to get more value and to get more views, to get more, I had all this in me that I just wanted more people to hear me. So everything I did was for views, for likes, for followers. I did shoots for like hours just to get photos for Instagram.
After posting this video, she decided to delete all of her social media accounts except her Instagram, where she changed the caption of all of her former posts in order to tell her truth about these different posts and what really happened at the time. What I find interesting here is not her breakdown video, but more the fact that she exposed the notion of self-branding and questioned the authenticity of her self-representation in this post. I'm going to compare O'Neill with the London-based micro-celebrity Byron Denton. In a recent article of news.com.au, I discovered that Denton had for a week faked being rich and enjoying a high-quality lifestyle by posting Photoshop pictures of himself on Instagram. He curated and shared pictures of himself with designer clothes or of him sitting on a private jet. Right after this experiment, Denton shared a YouTube video where he revealed the truth to his audience about these pictures.
For today's video, I thought it'd be a fun and fresh idea, to start pranking you guys on Instagram. I've been seeing so many videos of people faking vacations and faking a bunch of different things. However, I didn't see anyone on Instagram pretend to be rich.
The purpose of this experiment was for him to see if users would engage more with his posts if they thought he was rich and living his best life. To me, what's interesting about this case is that it reveals how easy it is to fool people and pretend to be someone or something else that differ from their reality. Again, I think this case is a compelling example that illustrates the notion of self-branding and authenticity. As Marek explained, social media such as Instagram require users to self-consciously create virtual depiction of themselves. One way of understanding such self-representation is the information and material people choose to show others on these platforms. Therefore, in this video, I'm going to look at the notion of authenticity to see in what ways O'Neill and Denton are fraudulently or authentically portraying themselves on Instagram, and in what ways they both differ in terms of self-branding, as one is an influencer and the other a micro-celebrity. Thus, I will focus on the concept of authenticity, which is quite similar between these two cases, and the concept of self-branding, in which the cases slightly differ from each other. Even though, like I said, in this video I'll primarily focus on authenticity and self-branding, I'm also going to touch on notions of influencers, micro-celebrity, online identities, capital, and immaterial labor. Discussing the performance of the self in relation to self-branding and authenticity in a social media environment matters, as nowadays such online platforms have taken a massive place in many of our lives. I believe that it is important to take a step back and have a better and deeper look at the construction of such representation, because it can affect the way people understand themselves and others. I've decided to compare these two cases by using a semiotic analysis, as I'm going to look at the images they both produced and shared. I'm also going to be using a discourse analysis by looking at what they wrote in their captions. Finally, I'm going to be using a performance analysis by quickly looking at the reactions of their audiences. So, without further ado, let's start with a comparative analysis. My cases are similar in that both illustrate the concept of authenticity. Finding its root in the word authentic, authenticity can be briefly understood as something truthful, genuine, reliable, or something that faithfully resembles to something or someone. According to Duguay, authenticity is constructed through one's ability to consistently reference a coherent, organized narrative of the self, which trailing described as a display of the hidden inner life. Socially constructed, the idea of authenticity is always relative and context dependent. For time issues, I won't be able to analyze every picture posted by O'Neill and Denton, so I've selected only one post per person. This is a picture of O'Neill that I'm going to analyze first. In the image, we denote a young woman laughing or at least striking a pose. She's wearing a black hat and what seems to look like a sundress. Behind her, we denote some vegetation like trees, bushes, and grass. Therefore, we can easily argue that the picture was taken outdoor. If we go deeper, we can also argue that one of the trees looks like the beginning of a palm tree. The picture is quite bright and she's wearing very thin clothing, which connote that the picture was taken during the hot season, like summer, in what we could call a tropical place. Moreover, the image connotes a glamorous and an easy carefree lifestyle. We know it from the context that O'Neill is one of the producers of this image, although we don't really know who's behind the camera, if there is anyone at all. However, the meaning of this image changed when she decided to give up her Instagram persona. She modified the caption to reflect her actual experience of work and business involved in Instagram lifestyle modeling. She wrote, "If you could find yourself looking at Instagram girls and wishing your life was theirs, realize you only see what they want." She goes on and said that this picture has no purpose in a forced smile, tiny clothes, and being paid to look pretty. O'Neill acknowledged that she hasn't been authentic before in her self-representation. By warning her audience that they only see what the person publishing wants them to see, she raises questions around authenticity and self-representation on social media, where anyone can alter their true self. This goes hand in hand with what Redbergs once noted: self-representations are rarely about trying to tell the whole truth about ourselves. They are as much about constructing a truth or many truths about who we are and could be. In this case, by rewriting her caption, O'Neill revealed her truth about the picture by alerting her follower that the carefree and glamour lifestyle depicted on this picture is a construction, and only that. It has been carefully curated and strategically chosen to be shared with others. In this sense, O'Neill's depiction here is inauthentic, whereas her new caption is meant to tell the truth and reveal her authentic self. As Duguay argues, identity is viewed as reflexive, as it undergoes constant revisions while individuals select from multiple lifestyle choices. This particularly resonates with our second case. This picture denotes a young man wearing a black hoodie, a hat, black sunglasses, gray pants, and black socks. He seems to be sitting on a very comfortable seat in a private jet. Here the private jet is a signifier of richness and wealthiness. Denton is holding and reading a magazine while resting his legs. This image strongly connotes that this man has a very wealthy lifestyle and seems to be used to this extravagant life. Same as the previous example, we know from the context that Denton is one of the producers of this image, but we don't know who's behind the camera. In Denton's explanatory video, he revealed the truth behind this picture. We found out that he was actually sitting on a green sofa. The picture on the right was staged and photoshopped, while the picture on the left is the raw material. Thus, the picture on the right is inauthentic, while the one on the left is the reality, the authentic picture. Lacking of authenticity, both of these examples reveal an inauthentic representation of the self, which has been made clearly visible when they both decided to share an explanatory video. On one case, the reality has been hidden by over-embellishing the facts, while on the other, it has been digitally altered. In this sense, by making use of such resources to construct, perform, and mobilize one's identity, anybody can try out different lifestyle and subjectivities online. In the end, both of the examples reveal that the photograph is a useful reminder that self-representations are often staged and not always intended to be taken as truth, or at least not as literal truth. By depicting themselves in such a way, they both offered an inauthentic representation of themselves to their audience. Nonetheless, their intention behind such representation were dissimilar. Thus, I argue that my cases differ regarding the concept of self-branding. To give a simple definition, self-branding is when a person uses certain marketing techniques to create a specific image of themselves, usually a good one, to give evidence of their values and overall reputability. We can turn to Hearn's work for a more scholarly definition. Hearns argues that self-branding is a form of self-presentation singularly focused on attracting attention and acquiring cultural and monetary value. In this sense, the self is viewed as a commodity. Micro-celebrities and influencers are the ones who primarily use techniques of self-branding online by curating, rearranging, and recirculating what they consider to be their best picture, thus dropping off their worst. Influencers differ from micro-celebrities as they monetize their online activity. I bet and argue that on Instagram, influencers' market value is proportionate to the number of followers they have. Thus, for influencers, the more social capital they opt in, by that I mean more likes, followers, and so on, the more economic capital they can accumulate from their posts. In regard to our cases, O'Neill was considered as an influencer as she was making money from her online labor. She produced these images to cultivate her online persona and grow a number of followers, but she was also sponsored to display certain products to her audience. If we look back to our previous example, we can see that she mentioned in her new caption that she was paid for doing this photo. She argues that if someone with a high level of social capital on Instagram tag a company, then 99% of the time it's paid. As Denton is not paid for any of his posts, but has accumulated a certain amount of social capital, he can be considered as a micro-celebrity, a term coined by Seft. In this sense, O'Neill and Denton already differ from one another. What's different between O'Neill and Denton cases in terms of self-branding is that they both used it, but for different reasons. Whilst O'Neill used it to grow her social and economic capital, and mostly continued to create her online persona to create business opportunity for her modeling career, Denton, in this example, used techniques of self-branding as an experiment, a joke, a prank, rather than doing it for job opportunities or accumulating economic capital. His intentions were nonetheless towards raising social capital, but only as an experiment to see if people would like him better if they identified him as rich. In the end, for the private jet picture, Denton received more than 10,000 likes, 234 comments, and 454 visits on his Instagram, which is way above what he usually gained. To conclude, we've seen through this comparative analysis that both O'Neill and Denton have inauthentically portrayed themselves on their Instagram posts, and that they both use technique of self-branding, but for different purposes. In the end, we have learned that online identities, as much as real-life identities, are constructed and created as anyone can decide to share the content they want. Therefore, the notion of authenticity becomes huge things as we learn that anybody can mislead the truth. This means that we need to look at things from a different angle. We cannot fully trust what has been made visible, but we need to think critically and wonder, what can't we see? What is invisible here? What do a person gain from this self-representation? This essay has threatened my interest in the notion of authenticity in regards to online personalities. Finally, it is a fair question to wonder if the new Instagram update where someone's post number of likes are hidden from the community, which is being tested in Canada right now, will impact or not micro-celebrities and influencer authenticity and self-branding. For now, my guess is that the level of authenticity will increase and users will primarily focus on trying to acquire more followers as this information will remain publicly visible. Thanks for watching and see you next time.